Hi everyone, and welcome to What's Up Wednesdays for this lovely January 9th. My name is Azucena Gonzalez. I'm a realtor with Mojica and Associates, and I'm here today to tell you a couple of things that you need to know when you head out to those open houses. Now, I am notorious for doing quite a few open houses, and I actually have an open house this Friday and Sunday at the same house in Tempe. The address is 1304 East North Shore Drive in Tempe, Arizona. I have the details posted around here. Again, it's this Friday afternoon and then Sunday midday. So I'll be posting those details on there. But here's what you need to know. Whether you go to mine or anybody else's open house, you have to realize that the hosting agent, so the agent that is hosting the open house, may or may not be the listing agent, okay? Usually agents self-disclose. I self-disclose. If I'm at a listing that isn't mine, I say, hey, just so you know, I'm not the listing agent. One of the reasons why I do that as well is because some people may not be at liberty or may not feel at liberty to discuss certain things. And I want to let them know, hey, you're in a safe space because you're not going to hurt my feelings. Even if I were the listing agent, I would encourage you to be honest with your feedback. That way we can make sure that we can make the changes necessary to the house. So, don't worry about hurting feelings. Obviously, there's better ways to say certain things, so just be mindful of how you're saying things. Secondly, do not be surprised and expect the agent to ask for your information when you come into the house. We do that for security purposes. Sometimes the owners still reside in the home and they like to know that we keep track of who's coming in and out of the house. But also, it's not your right, essentially, to go into the open house because it's not your house. You know what I mean? And I know that can be a little troublesome to understand, but here's the biggest thing. You're being invited to come into this house and take a look at this house. So if necessary, we can ask you to leave, and we'll ask you to leave if you're being disruptive or if you're about to cause harm to anyone. So just something to be mindful of. We may ask and most likely ask for your information, and we do have the ability to ask you to leave, okay? I know, I'm just throwing that out there. I don't want anybody, well, I didn't know, and now you know. You're being cordially invited to somebody else's house to take a gander. Don't mess it up. Kind of like if you invited somebody, right, and they were acting a fool, you might be like, you know what, it's maybe time for you to go. Kind of the same thing, because we are ultimately responsible for what happens inside the house. We want to make sure that everything is in good standing at all times. Now, another thing to know is that you on the spot can submit an offer on the house as long as you're pre-qualified. Isn't that awesome? Like, that is super amazing. You do not have to wait. You have the agent there. You can be like, you know what, let's do this. Awesome. Now, say you're like, yeah, I'd like to submit an offer, but I don't have my agent with me. That's fine too. Let the hosting agent or the / listing agent know, hey, you know what? Thank you for letting me come in. I'll speak with my agent. And it's always a good idea that if you're already working with somebody, to let the agent who is either the listing agent / hosting agent know, like, hey, I'm here to check out the open house. I'm gonna speak with my realtor about it. Some people do like to transition between realtors based off their experience. I actually had one closing at the end of December where the client I picked up at the open house was like, you know what, I'm willing to give you a try. And it was really interesting because I was just like, hey, you know what, I'm gonna give you the information to the house. I'm gonna give you the houses that are available in a 1 mile radius so that you can go ahead and talk to your realtor about it, right? Well, he on the spot was like, you know what, I'm just gonna give you a shot because of how my experience went with the last agent, and I wasn't very satisfied. And I was like, okay, we ended up looking homes right then and there after that open house. And long story short, we ended up closing. So you always have that flexibility as well. Certain variables in a situation may make it different though. So if that's something that you're willing to do, make sure that you talk to the agent that you're previously working with or that new agent to make sure that there isn't anything that's going to potentially clash and make that transaction go haywire, okay? I know it's kind of a mouthful. If you're like, what? Let me know. Reach out to me. I got you, boo. And lastly, let us know if you want to peruse or if you're like, yeah, show me the house. Typically, I ask people, would you like to go around and look by yourself? or can I show you the house? And typically I take the lead to be like, oh, this is the house and that kind of thing. But depending on how I'm feeling their vibe, I'm gonna be like, do you want to peruse? And they're like, yeah, that's fine. I'm like, okay, cool, I'm here if you have any questions. But then I make sure the highlights right before they take off and look around is like, these are the things that you want to take into consideration because these are really cool aspects of that house. You know what I mean? Now, yeah, and every open house is different. Sometimes we can't open certain doors because they might not work. Sometimes we don't have the answer to certain questions because the listing agent or maybe because the hosting or listing agent doesn't know. It's not information given to us from the seller. It's something that may have happened even before the seller obtained the house. Like there's so many things, but just give us the opportunity to go ahead and reach out to find out the information that you're trying to get. And if we're not able to, we'll let you know as well, because sometimes depending on the house, there may be no records. I know, it's great stuff. But anyways, those are just some things you need to know. If there's anything you're just like, well, I have a question about this, let me know, boo. I am here for you. That being said, I hope you have a lovely Wednesday. Go out there and make today the best day ever. See ya.